Hi, I'm Ari.
And I'm Ben. And you're listening to From Mugfootsara to Muffet, a story of strength and bravery. People often think that immigrating to America is as easy as getting on a plane and just leaving your country.
But my great-grandfather, Michael George Muffet's journey shows it's way more complicated than that.
It's about surviving a war, leaving your family behind, pushing through fear and loneliness, and fighting every day just to survive. His story shows that coming to America isn't just a move. It's a real test of courage, bravery, and hope.
This is the story of how Michael George Muffet, born back in 1909, nicknamed Jitu, which means grandpa in Lebanese, came to America when he was about my age, 12 years old. Michael George Mugfootsara grew up in a small rural town near Beirut, Lebanon. He lived there with his parents, 6 siblings, and his grandparents.
Life was great until World War I broke out.
Before the war, his parents had already left Lebanon, hoping to build a life for the family in America.
So Michael and his siblings stayed behind with their grandparents.
But then, war hit. World War I started in 1914, and suddenly, everything changed.
Grandfather died, and he had to stay there for several years because World War I broke out and they couldn't get ships through and nothing was leaving Beirut to come to America.
After the war finally ended in 1918, Michael's parents sent word that it was time for the kids to come to America.
And while this sounded like exciting news, Michael, who was only 12, really didn't want to leave.
He loved Lebanon and he loved his home.
So his sister Betty had to trick him into getting on the boat.
And even though it worked, he was not happy about it.
The boat docked in France, and he ran away, and because he didn't want to come to America, he was mad that he was taken away from Beirut. And he left the boat, and he wandered around the streets of France, and he said that at nighttime, I think he took some food from a market, and he said at night he took his shoes off and put his socks on top of his shoes and laid under the lamppost to go to sleep. And apparently a policeman found him, and the sister was very distressed because the boat was getting ready to leave. And somehow they found him, I think, at the police station right before the boat was to leave for America, and they got him back on the boat just in time.
Meanwhile, the ship went on to New York City.
And eventually, Michael reunited with his parents at the dock.
The family traveled back together to Barberton, Ohio, their new home. Here's a fun fact. When Michael went through immigration, officials couldn't pronounce Mugfootsara, so they just changed it to Muffet.
And that's how he became Michael George Muffet.
His father put him in school because he didn't know much English and he hadn't been in school much in Beirut. And he was really mad about that, and they put him in a lower grade, like maybe first grade or kindergarten. And he was really mad about being in school and being with the younger kids. And he was a discipline problem at home. He tried to run away a lot. He only stayed in school till the 8th grade. And was always mad at his dad.
When Michael turned 16, his dad gave him a $100 bill and basically told him, go out, start your life.
And that's just what he did.
He went to barber school and became a professional barber.
Later, he visited a cousin in Kentucky, and that's where he met Josephine Nazer, who eventually became his wife.
They had 7 kids together and raised them in Barberton, Ohio, including my grandma, Mary Ann Muffet Siddle, who told us this story. Michael wasn't just brave, he taught his kids powerful life lessons too.
Like to be yourself, to be a leader and be tough.
He even taught them little things, like how to save and reuse stained clothes, which is kind of funny, but super smart.
I had no idea our great-grandfather was so amazing.
Yeah, I didn't know either until a couple of days ago.
Do you think it would have been different if he came to America today instead of 1921?
Definitely. There would be some huge differences, good and bad. I think traveling would be way faster. He could just hop on a plane and get to America in a day or so, instead of spending weeks on a boat.
And communicating from Lebanon to America would be a lot easier too. He could just call and text his family.
But getting into the U.S. would be much harder. Immigration laws today are super strict and complicated to learn.
Plus, he also ran away in France. He could have stayed in jail there.
That's true. I'm not sure that would work out so well. He probably didn't have a passport or other security documents.
And he probably wouldn't have gotten his last name changed by accident.
True. But no matter when he came, Michael's courage, determination, and heart would still shine through. Michael George Muffet's life shows us that strength isn't just about being physically tough. It's about heart, about determination, about never giving up, even when everything's against you.
His story reminds us that behind every family is someone who risked it all just so their future generations could have better lives.
Because of Michael's courage, resilience, and bravery, we're here today, telling his story and carrying it forward.
Thanks for listening to From Makfutara to Muffet, a story of strength and bravery.
We hope Michael's journey inspires you, just like it inspires us.
See you next time.